I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is All the Mods 10. Now, I think today it's time for me to put my hat back on, because today we are going to be dabbling back into some more Ars Nouveau. Believe it or not, even at this point, Ars Nouveau is still an insanely powerful tool in this mod pack. But now that I have Mystical Agriculture up and running, and we also have our storage for that handled, I think it's time to let this just kind of sit for a little bit and generate some nice resources for us. And while that is doing that, we have some other tasks, well, to get started on. Because today I want to make the exclusive All the Mods Ars gear. Oh, this is going to be so good to be able to make. Now, if you haven't already looked, this All the Mods Arcanist gear and also spellbook does a couple of different things. For one, the All the Mods spellbook actually extends the amount of spell slots that are available in the spellbook. That in itself sounds amazing. However, it is going to take a top tier spellbook to make, which requires a Nether Star. That in itself is not that difficult to do in a mod pack such as this, but it does also need the Wilden tribute, which means we need to progress a little bit through Ars a little bit more to be able to make this and summon in the boss from Ars. And also on top of all of that, we are also going to need to find our first smithing template from the Allthemodium mod. So that means we do need to go on a little bit of an adventure. Now, something else to note, this gear also required to make it, you're going to have to get into Ars Elemental. Now, this isn't a huge deal, but it does mean you need top tier gear, meaning you're going to have all of the essences produced in order for you to get a Mark of Mastery. This also means that you're going to need Chorus Fruit as well to be able to upgrade your gear. So that means potentially beating all 3 bosses in this one episode. And this, by the way, should all be possible with one spell to take out these bosses. Believe it or not. And this spell is actually courtesy, I think, of an older post that may have happened a while ago, but I was told about it by Harrison Conley here on YouTube through the YouTube comments. So thank you so much for showing me this. And I did experiment a lot with this over on Twitch to check out this spell. And let me kind of spoil this to you. So what we're essentially going to be doing is becoming an earthbender. Yes, we're going to be using an earth sort of augment that we're going to talk about here in a second. But in the newer versions, we have a new thing called Pantomime. Now, Pantomime is really, really cool. It essentially allows you to have place blocks as if you're placing an angel block. You can just place it directly in front of you. To do this, we are going to select the closest block and be sensitive. And this is going to allow us to place in air. And you can see when we have this, the sensitive allows us to see what block we're going to place. And that's pretty cool, right? So it's pointing in this direction. But what we can do is we can augment this a little bit, right? And we can place a block in that position. So I'm placing a block in this position. So if I have a block in my inventory, it should place it there. For example, here's one of the Zai, right? It should place this block. Of course, if I select place block and not item pickup, they do look similar. They're just opposites. But there we go. So it's going to take the item out of my inventory and place it. But where the magic really happens is what we do to that place block. And what we can augment that place block to do is leap. So this is where things get a little bit crazier, right? Because whenever we then place a block and we leap it, it's going to shoot that block. Yes. Who said wizards can't have guns? Now, if we take a step back, we can actually augment this a little bit more. If we give the Pantomime a little bit more amplify, what it should do is it gives us a little bit of a closer range, or a little bit of a, I guess, less of an angle on our range, because it moves the block out by 1, meaning that our angle can be a little bit wider, which is very nice. So that way we can hit our targets. So now when we get the place block, the leap, and then the amplify on here to make the leap more powerful, which is going to project the block faster, we then need to figure out what happens if we miss. And so in that case, we are going to need to create a break spell. So break is going to be over here, but we want to delay it a little bit. So we can do a delay on here to kind of decrease the amount of time between here. And we could also add an extend time to extend this, but we can just for right now put a break and then make sure we put an amplify, and we can go ahead and pick up the item that didn't get broken or didn't hit the mob. And there we go. We now have a completed spell that shoots a block, and if we miss, it should pick that block up when it's broken, or at least it should. I think this is probably a better example right there. And interesting. So the spell for some reason is not resolving this. Now the block you want to use is going to be none other than obsidian. That's why we have the amplify on that break. Now to get this to actually work, there's still a few other things that we're going to need. And one of those is a spell focus. And this is the first time kind of talking about this, but the spell focus goes up in the top left hand of your baubles and kind of manipulates the way some spells work. And that focus is the shaping focus. So the focus of block shaping is what we need. And you can see here, it's honestly not that crazy to make. We just need an enchanting apparatus, which we already have, and a little bit of manipulation essence and a diamond. Now to get a constant supply of source, I do want to move my mob farm back into the castle. I think that's going to be a good idea. So I have all the stuff in my inventory to do that, but I want to use the Vitalic source link to be able to generate enough source so that way we can make all of our essences. And this is going to be something that is going to be very, very nice to be able to have access to, because essences can be some of the most tedious things to make. But if you have a constant supply source and you get them all set up, it becomes very trivial. Now, I do want to move this, but I didn't want to move the entire mob farm with the cut paste gadget, as that could cause some issues, especially when moving containers that have a ton of entities or data in them, or strange data. So definitely be careful using the cut paste gadget, because it doesn't work on everything, at least in this current version as of right now. So I'm going to go ahead and right click this corner in this corner. And if anything, I can at least copy this. So, or cut it, I mean. And I'm just going to cut this out of existence, and it's going to drop all of that redstone. And then I can just bring this with me. And now we have a hole in the ground. And remember how I mentioned I wanted to put mob farms in these towers? Well, the first mob farm is definitely going to go in here, and it should fit, honestly, like perfect, like right in this center area. Now I don't want mobs to just start spawning on me. So let's get our cut paste gadget, and I want to align this right in the center, but I do want to bring this up to about there so I can have the redstone there. And perfect. So thankfully there shouldn't be anything spawning on this, just to make sure. Probably a torch would just make sure that nothing is going to get spawning. Now I'm just going to reset up all of my farm. Now the reason that I placed this one block up was so that way I could get the redstone placed back underneath it. So if you're wondering yet again and you missed the episode where I made the mob farm, yeah, that's what makes it so fast in such a small area, is that beautiful redstone underneath. Now to start producing these essences, I recommend using something like this. For example, we have arcane platforms, 3 of them, and you can attach them to the side of the imbuement chamber. And eventually I will be automatically sending in our source gems to this using something like modular routers, for example. But down below, I do have a barrel. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to place a source gem inside of here once we have our different aspects on the outside. And then when it's done, it's going to have an output. Then we'll just lock that drawer, and I'm going to slap in a pusher upgrade to, or a puller upgrade is actually what I need to pull the items into here. Now I need to be able to move source around, because this volcanic source link can only interact with these source jars over here. These ones that I have over here are kind of out of range, right? So for example, this one's also out of range. To link them, I'm going to use source relays. They're pretty cheap to make, and you just need to right click and then right click again to set its starting position. And then I just need to right click here, and then I'm going to link this one all the way over here and right click again. And then I just need to right click it and then right click it to this position. Super simple, no shift right clicking involved in this case. You just need to kind of chain them together just by right clicking, then right clicking again, and then right clicking to link. Very, very straightforward. So now after placing in a source gem for all of these, we can actually see this start working. And I just have that puller upgrade, right? That pulls it in, and you lock the drawer, then you don't have to worry about it anymore. And it even gives it a nice identifier. So when we're over here manually crafting it at first, we can kind of take a look and go, okay, I need this essence. So I'll make sure to add the crystal to that one, or add the source gem there. And look at that. So now we can start to slowly but surely build them up. And there just so happens to be exactly 8, because we do have the anima essence, which is an add-on, which we are going to need later on. It does require a beautiful wither skeleton skull, which thankfully you can craft from all of the little broken down wither skeleton pieces you get from killing wither skeletons. So now remember, our entire task here is to simply make that shaper's focus, so that way we can use the spell. This is going to be absolutely broken. This spell, when I tested it, honestly, met and exceeded all of my expectations of how ours can possibly be powerful. And I tell you what, this thing is ridiculous. And it says throw another rock. And that's right, because what this does is it allows moving blocks or blocks that you're modifying and moving to actually cause damage. So this is what allows this whole setup to actually work. And it goes in our spell focus of shaping. Oh, and this is where things get a little dangerous. So we do actually have obsidian being constantly generated in 2 sources, right? We have this drawer, which just constantly generates obsidian nonstop for us. And then we also have essence. So how powerful is this spell? Well, let's test it on some of these mobs down here. Yeah, how about this skeleton? Yeah, it's gone. And notice the obsidian is returned back to me. Yep, that is exactly how crazy this is. But those were some weak mobs, right? What about the more powerful ones, like the bosses? Well, there's only one boss I can think of testing this on right now that'll also be kind of helpful to us right now, and that is the Warden. So we have to wait for this to happen 3 times, but I have so much confidence in this spell destroying the Warden, I'm not even worried remotely about it. Because, by the way, once we finish this off, we can just grab some Enderium right here, which we can easily make, and we just need some Echo Shards, which we should be able to easily find, by the way, just from looting in these areas, right? There's already 6 of them right there. Oh my goodness, and an enchanted golden apple. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in here. All right, so we do have a Warden that just spawned, and hopefully we don't get hit with the blast. But look at this. I just annihilated the Warden that fast. Yeah, you didn't blink, right? You didn't blink. That's how powerful this is. And we don't even have like high upgraded gear. It's just ridiculous. It's already gone. Like, that's how fast it is. So yeah, that's pretty crazy in its own right. I do just need a few more Echo Shards. I think that is it right there. Ooh, and I would love to grab these ancient fragments, but I think I am going to make my way out of here for right now. And yeah, let's make ourselves an explorer's compass so we can fight all the other bosses. And I almost forgot. There's some. I wonder if there's actually more that we can find, but I do need to find some of this suspicious clay, which is here. This is how we actually get the template for the Allthemodium, and it just so happens to be one right there. But yeah, there should be clay like all strung about. Here's another one. Yeah, it's not super hard to find. Trying to do this fast enough. But the goal is to get the template out of here, which it is here. There we go. Template acquired. I think I can just hop out of here for now. I don't need to kill that guy anymore. Now, I know that might be a hard thing for you to potentially find. I've definitely heard some people saying they have a hard time finding that template. But just look for really like white or clay looking blocks. They really stick out like a sore thumb, and also make sure you're using night vision. Makes it so much easier. So perfect. With the Explorer's Compass, things get a little bit easier from this point, right? So we're able to find all of the different structures that we might want to explore in the future. One specific is, of course, finding the end portal. Because this is modded, who wants to actually use Eyes of Ender to find the end portal? Not me. Now, I think before I go after the dragon, I kind of want to do this differently than I normally would. I instead would fight the dragon, and then typically I would use the end to fight the wither, but not in this case. Because I'm feeling very, very confident about this, I'm almost positive that we can take on the wither and just do it out in the open for once. Just standard wither procedures here. And yes, this should have no issues. Wait a minute. Maybe there are issues? Did that not summon it? That was very odd. Maybe it was because there was a block next to it. Okay. No? Oh, I bet it's the grass, isn't it? They're very, very picky, by the way. It is a very, very picky boss. One more try. One more try. There we go. Okay. So, yes, a wither. Of all things, by the way, I do have a dispel that is set and also night vision. But yeah, I don't think we're going to have a problem. Yeah. This is just ridiculous. I can't even express how powerful this actually is. The fact that it can like 3-shot the wither is kind of absurd. Oh yeah, again, did I mention that this is just a tier 2 spell? Like, you don't need a tier 3 for this. It's just tier 2. And on top of that, it doesn't even use that much mana. Sorry, not mana, source. By the way, we're gonna need that nether star. I almost left it here. That wouldn't have been good. Now, just to put it in perspective, I did test this out on like an iron golem, and it does about 80 damage or so per shot. And yeah, that's testing it out on an iron golem. Okay, so what about going to the end? We need to do that anyways, so I'm not really trying to speedrun or anything, but all of this stuff is kind of leading me in this direction to get all of these bosses killed, because I need at least one item to really open up the fun stuff in this pack. So we're definitely gonna have to kill the dragon more than once, but I think that the dragon is probably hiding out in a special mod, right? So normally we'd look for stronghold. Is it just a regular? Okay, so we have in stronghold that's repurposed, but there's also the Young's stronghold. By the way, if you didn't know, you can actually search by mods in here. So YU in, and there's all of Young's structures. Pretty cool that you can actually search by the source where everything comes from. But yes, stronghold and the Young stronghold most likely is the one we are looking for. And it looks like it's about 10,000 blocks that way, or not 10,000, 1,000 blocks, even closer. It's at this point that I don't even know if I should be sharing this spell to everyone. It almost feels too broken. Like, it deals way too much damage in my opinion. Now, something interesting to note, if you actually are in a version that doesn't have the pantomime, don't fear, because you can also just replace it with underfoot. And underfoot just means that you have to kind of dash in the air first, and then as you're falling, you can continue to shoot. Yeah, it's also broken in other versions. So underneath the water here is where it shows the location for this. So I'm pretty sure it should be right down in here. We'll probably encounter it very soon. Aha! I think I found it. Yes, the center of the room is actually destroyed right now. Oh man, by that. Okay, so I don't know if all of these are always laid out the same way, but I usually find that if you find this center hall, that it's either in this corridor or this corridor. You just have to go down here. I think these though are labyrinth generated, so it can take some time to find it sometimes. Yeah, this is definitely not the direction, but I think this way could lead us here. No, maybe not. Maybe it's in the bottom too. I don't know. Like it just takes a little bit of time to explore this. Speaking of exploring this, by the way, there's some pretty cool stuff. Like you'll find a ton of loot chests. There's also some other really nice things you can find. It's interesting that there's gems from iron spells now. This is kind of interesting. This is some new mod stuff. Ooh, I found the midnight robe. That could be kind of useful actually, right? Oh wait, there's no effects. Did I say that right? No effects? Oh wait, it does say every 2 units of damage while attacking, while being invisible from the disappearing ability. There's the abilities. Interesting. Betrayal and Vanish. Ooh, Vanish seems interesting. I can't click it though. Well, never mind. It's just all on the same page. Okay, the wearer is completely invisible and increases the speed of their movement at a sufficiently low light level. Wait a minute. That could be really powerful. That goes on our back slot. So the same as our jetpack, and at a low enough light level, we're apparently invisible? Now this could be useful, even though I don't think we're gonna have a problem. Finding these angel heart vials are pretty interesting. Resurrects you once and breaks. So it's basically like automatic totems that can just go in your inventory. Ah, and here's the library, by the way. There's gonna be some chests hidden in the back. So you gotta check these back areas. Let's see, I think the other chests are back here, and there are chests sprawled throughout the wall, similar to like a normal fortress. Aha, there's that hidden chest. And yeah, some enchanted books. And there are, though, a lot of relics here. So yeah, it's kind of nice looting all of this. Like I'm finding a bunch of iron spells and iron gems and jewelry. Like all of this stuff I just found in a couple of chests that were right in front of me. So after as many times as I've done this particular dungeon, I will say that yes, it is kind of random, it looks like. So it's not always up in the top right, because this one happens to be all the way down here. And actually I went down here and I was like, man, yeah, there's nothing down here. Turns out I was wrong, because just through this door is exactly what I was looking for. And I was wondering if I can do this. So by the way, next time I know that I can do this, if I have Ars, for example, what I should be able to do is just put chains inside of a scry, and that would allow me to locate this exactly where it's at. Because this is, yeah, it's filled with the chains right here. So, I should have thought about that. I thought there was chains that attach this, and I was like, man, I could probably use a scry to locate this faster. So now after setting a waystone, I can go ahead and get this all placed in. Oh, and gain access to the end, which we definitely need anyways. So without further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom. Perfect. Oh man, this is gonna be so good. Okay, so plan on us destroying the dragon faster than you've probably ever seen me do before. Of course, well, without using Project E, that is. So let's dive in and let's make sure we have this spell selected. This will end you, and be prepared. I'm also gonna place a waystone whenever we get there. There we go. We've made it to the end. Oh boy. And it has this dragon in here, but I don't think this is going to matter whatsoever. I really don't. I don't think it's going to matter. I also didn't bring bottles, but that's fine. That is completely fine. By the way, do not place your waystone in here. Place it like here. Like right outside. It will save you in the future. This is probably going to be the least dramatic fight you've ever seen. Unless something else goes wrong, I can only see this fight going very, very quick. Because I don't even think we're going to have to break the crystals. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. This is such a cool fight, though. The build-up. It's so good with the bell ringing. This is also a Young's structure, by the way. God, they just done such a good job. Done such a good job on these mods. Perfect. There it goes. Okay, so once the dragon spawns, then it's go time, right? There it is. Okay, so how quickly are we going to be able to take out this dragon? Well, I don't know. If we go up here, we might be able to see how quickly we can do this. Oh my goodness. Yep, you're seeing it here. We just killed the dragon nearly instant with a spell from Ars without taking anything down. It's not broken at all. It's not. It's not. This is merely normal. Merely normal. This is modded, you know, after all. It is but a flesh wound to that dragon. Maybe sharp flesh wounds. It was obsidian after all. And here's all the loot. Oh, yes. All the loot from the dragon. And we also need to gather our dragon egg. This is going to be something that we'll have to use later on. The dragon egg being here is a little bit odd, but let's see. Do we not get given any torches? Yeah, no, we might have to come back to gather that later. Unfortunately, this portal doesn't seem to give any torches for some reason. But I'm also afraid if I right-click this, it's going to send the egg to spawn, so I'd prefer to use the piston method. Perfect. I now also have the dragon trophy, which is huge, by the way. And also, just in case you were wondering, does this work on Enderman? Well, no. No, it doesn't, unfortunately. But for Enderman, I do have this. Also, by the way, the normal projectile spell from Ars actually does work on Enderman, but this one happens to not. Okay, so here's all of our leftover obsidian from shooting it there. But what I want to do is I want to go ahead and head to the end islands, so that way I can grab some chorus fruit, because that is actually the one thing we are actually missing before we go fight another boss. And yeah, here's all of that chorus. So much chorus fruit. Thank you. Now, something does seem a little bit off about the end islands, doesn't it? This seems very weird in the terrain generation. And I'm under the assumption that there's some other mod at play here doing this. Oh, definitely doing this. But I think I'll save that for another day because, remember, I am on a track to get a very specific item. So now back from the end, of course, I've got to make an end seed. That is definitely priority number one. And then I might as well take all of my gear, right, and start upgrading it. So we got to bring it up to tier 3 before we can actually upgrade it into the elemental version of the Ars gear. So this will be the last piece of gear that I need. And there we go. Now we're up to tier 3. But we still have some more stuff to do before we can go even further. That's because we need to kill ourselves the Ars boss. Yes, if you are unfamiliar, Ars actually has a boss. And I find that probably doing this boss somewhere where we have a lot of space to sort of play around with is going to be the way to do this. And the way that we do this is we use a tablet of Summon Wilden, just like this, and then we need to augment it by putting one of each of the Wilden mob drops into it. Once all of those are ready to go, we are ready to go. And this boss is kind of interesting, right? It has multiple stages. No matter how much damage we may deal to it, it's still going to change phases and stop. So we can only deal so much. So let's make sure we have our spell selected and get ready to deal some major damage. Oh boy. The flying definitely helps. We are really knocking this guy back. Okay, so there's a phase. By the way, notice we can't deal damage. This is a phase I want to move away from. So yeah, as soon as you see these spikes, get back. You are not going to want to be here for this. Oh wow, that is really bright. As soon as the phase ends though, get in here and let's see if we can finish this off. Can we maybe 2-phase? No, it is definitely going to be a 3-phase. Look at this guy though. And almost done. He is going to dive. There we go. And down. And that's how easy it is with this spell. Honestly, just absolutely absurd. This is also why you don't want to do it in your base. So yeah, after getting that, we get ourselves a Wilden tribute. But I'm going to need actually 2 Wilden tributes to technically upgrade my gear and make the spell book. So that means one more time we get to do this. All right, there we go. By the way, this can all 100% be automated. This right click and the insertion of the items can be hoppered in, or you can use modular routers, and it can be right clicked with modular routers. Fake player integration 100% works. Pretty cool. By the way, this can be spammed. Notice, by the way, I can spam a lot more of this, which is also pretty neat. I can spam quite a bit more now that my armor's upgraded, just with that little bit of regen. I'm honestly kind of blown away, and I cannot wait to see how good just the base Allthemodium gear is gonna be. That's gonna be ridiculous, right? Oh, it's gotta be. Okay, maybe I lied when I said that was the last boss that we had to take on, because there's technically another mini boss that we kind of need to do. But the best way to do this, I think, is to just use the structure compass to find yourself a woodland mansion. And the way you do this is just by searching mansion. Apparently, Minecraft just calls it a mansion, not a woodland mansion. And it looks like it's about 1,600 blocks away, so not honestly that far, especially with a jetpack. And I think we should head in there. And also, don't forget to bring a mob swab, because we're after evokers. Now, as I work my way over here, you may be wondering, Chosen, why are you like rushing through this? And I'm going to say, I'm not technically rushing. This is all just the vanilla stuff that's almost just expected of you to do, by the way, like prior to everything getting into the modded, basically. So yeah, even the getting started quest line, surprisingly, just goes, hey, beat the dragon, wither, and also take on this before really venturing into the mods. So this is all 100% necessary for our progression. And here we go. I hope this spell has definitely worked well. Oh my goodness, this one is completely busted open. This is going to be so easy. We just have to go in here, right? Find an evoker, which there's bound to be an evoker laying around somewhere that's going to spawn some Vex. Where are you at? Come here. I am after you. There you are. Right, and so I do want to mob swab him so I can make a spawn egg for him down the road. But yeah, we just need to take this guy out and get the one thing we need, which is going to be the Totem of Undying. And might as well grab another one on the way out. Why not? Yeah, let's hope nothing bad spawns. Yeah, perfect. But now that we're back, let's get our spellbook upgraded. So now we have a spellbook that went from tier 2 to now being able to use tier 3 glyphs. So bam, we have an Archmage spellbook. But we now have another Wilden tribute that we got to, make use of. So this is why all of that essence I set up earlier was done for, right? So here we go. Let's grab one of each, because we are going to need one of each for this next step. There we go. Bam and bam. Also, yeah, you are going to need the anima essence for this. And you just need to place all of them down into the enchanting apparatus. Bam, just like that. So far, so good. I'm so excited for this. I don't know if you can tell. Okay, so after that's done, we do the Wilden tribute. And this is also going to consume an entire container of source, by the way. But once this is done, this is like major. This allows us to upgrade our gear. And then we get to worry about how we're going to obtain the Allthemodium, right? So at this point, it really doesn't matter. According to the Allthemodium stuff, since we're basically skipping the elemental gear, Allthemodium, it looks like this accepts any of the Allthemodium gear, accepts any of the elemental gear, right? So you can see right here, it has earth, fire, you have the pyromancer, the aquamancer, the aethermancer, and the geomancer. All of those things are listed here. We can make any of them, doesn't really matter, because we're going to be immediately upgrading them to Allthemodium anyways. And so I think I'm just going to go with the pyro. It just doesn't really matter at this point because it all is going to get changed anyways. But I do have to go through each one of these and also utilizing one of our marks of mastery that we just made. And that should carry everything over. Our enchants should carry over. I do want to test this out on this first. So just that way, if I do lose anything, it's just one piece. But yes, it should carry over the enchants, and I'm almost positive it should carry them over also to the Allthemodium stuff whenever we do the smithing upgrade. But there it is. The mana regen goes up to +4 on this. We today, just alone, we went from +2 to +4 on one piece of gear, and then upgrading to Allthemodium starts at +6 on the helmet. Oh, and by the way, this is what the actual Ars elemental gear looks like. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty cool, but unfortunately you can't customize the colors on these, and I assume up to this point, we're not gonna be able to customize much of the colors on any of our gear. But really shouldn't have to worry about that too much. It's gonna be some really powerful gear, and I really like the look of the Allthemodium stuff. So let's now take this gear and upgrade it. And thankfully we have the ability to make a ton of netherite ingots, because this is why Mystical was so important to me. Getting it up and running was for this reason right here, right? So we are now able to duplicate our templates and make more of them utilizing that netherite. And I think outside of that, we just need Allthemodium, and we do have a few ingots of it. And I think this is going to be more than enough. So with a simple smithing table, which by the way, we can put this on a stick. I'm going to go ahead and place it right here for right now. Let's see if we can upgrade our first piece of gear. And there it is. And yes, the enchants and everything carry over, so you don't have to worry about anything. That's so good. Eventually I'll have higher protection on here, but beautiful. Our first piece. Oh, and this is so good. Like by default alone, like this is taking a huge upgrade. Like just look at the mana capacity, right? This is +100 max mana. This is +200 max mana. This also doesn't have any spell power increases. This has +6 spell power. And let me tell you, spell power increases is where it's at. That's what allows you to deal a ton of damage with your spells. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get the other pieces upgraded. Oh, there's the chest piece, the pants, and last but not least, the boots. Oh man, this is some insane gear. We've basically doubled our mana pool, and I really don't know, even with this base gear, I wonder like what spells like we can't just now constantly spam. Like Dash barely even budges the bar, and I'm spamming it quite a bit, and it just doesn't care. It does not care. Now, speaking of the spell book, something to take note, we only have 10 slots, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, right? By default. But apparently when we upgrade our spell book, this is where things get a little bit ridiculous. Now, I'm hoping that none of my spells get wiped, but I do know what all of my spells do, so I shouldn't be too concerned about that. But let's go ahead and try this. We'll put this in. It takes one of those, and that converts it to the next tier. And I assume that it keeps everything, but we should have more slots now. Okay, so it does wipe your spells. It's just something to kind of note. It does wipe them. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So there's still only 10 spell slots. So maybe later on you do get more spell slots, and this one just has a little bit higher breakability apparently. From what I was told, we should now be able to take this particular spell book and now be able to break Allthemodium ore. Oh wait, this does have an extra spell slot. There's a button right here that was really hard for me to see, but notice when I click it, it moved us over. Wait, so just to kind of see how many slots extra is this? So this gives us 2 extra slots? That's what it looks like. Oh my goodness, these spells can be absolutely enormous. So yeah, it goes even farther than normal. Oh wow. So now I'm back in the deep dark and I want to try this out. So I have my projectile break and then we're going to do amplify. That doesn't do anything, right? Amplify again. Okay, I also, by the way, want extract on here. So I should probably put extract. Let's try 3 amplify. This would be a netherite pick. And at that level, we can actually break it. Yes, but you do have to have, like I said, the Allthemodium spellbook to be able to do this. That's so cool. Okay, so I know you all really want to see this. With our extra spells, that means we can do extra AoE damage, which means our TNT spell now can get kind of ridiculous, right? So we can use a TNT spell here in the Nether, and I'm sure this is going to completely obliterate whatever it touches. So projectile, and then we do explosion, and then we max this out. Make sure we go to the next page. See, we have 2 extra slots, and hit that all the way up. Oh man. And then I guess we just use this. Oh my goodness. Yes, that is beyond huge. That is a massive area it just cleared out. And it doesn't even use that much source. That's kind of the crazy part, is just how this works. I can't even explain it. I mean, let's use it in an area like this. Oh my. And we can just nearly spam it. Oh, there's a spawner right there. We just kind of spam everything. This is just too much. Oh no, I've been slimed. I kind of want to take everything in here. Now, I don't know if it's possible to do this. These are from iron spells, and this will spawn a special mob. Can that even deal damage? Okay, it dealt... Oh my gosh, it took... So, okay, so just to explain this, it went from 60 to 23. So it dealt over 40 damage on a harm double amplify. Over 40 damage, or right about 40 damage to this mob. And this can just be indefinitely spammed. That is absurd. By the way, Ancient Knights are actually integral to the Iron Spells mod. It's how you can get some Cinder Essence. Also, normally these things deal a lot of damage to me, so... I mean, yeah, it's still dealing a pretty good amount of damage, but these guys can typically one-shot you. Now, what if we did a maxed out break spell? Like, we take this all the way to max on AoE. Like, how big of an area does this actually take out? Oh boy. This, wow. Okay. Yeah, it's just getting bigger, it seems like, every time I break something. Okay, wow, that is doing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 by 11, I assume? And this is just normal break. This isn't even accounting for the tier 3 spells like Linger and things like that that just get really ridiculous. Oh man, I am so excited after getting all of this gear. I cannot wait to progress through. By the way, there are 2 other tiers that we can go up to, Vibranium and Unobtainium, and boy am I looking forward to getting to those tiers. Even though they're going to be quite a bit more challenging than this, I am looking forward to it. And of course, there is way more dimensions to visit and other things to do aside from these vanilla bosses that we just took on today. So if you did enjoy today's episode and are looking forward to the next, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already and give this video a huge thumbs up. And with that being said, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that huge thanks is going to go out to Trephinix. Thank you so much, by the way, for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting in one of the best ways possible. Guys, I look forward to seeing you in the next one, and I hope you do as well. And with that, as always, thanks for watching.